Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 21st, 2021 at approximately 9:57 a.m. PST. Well, as you can see, things are changing a little. As in, we've got a back screen on over the window, which is a good thing in our eyes. We got the back screen up. We've got a new headset on, so I'm hoping this does better as far as volume control goes, or as far as clarity goes. We'll find that out in time. In the meantime, we are going to carry on with what we were doing, and we go back. This is just another example of setting your goals on something and finally getting them sorted around. Now, while I've been doing this, the other thing I've been working on is the series of books, the Yldrbacian Chronicles, which is this set. Now, this one obviously is already in print. The sequel I am intending on having out by the end of this year. We're already, what are we? About a tenth of the way through editing right now, through Final Edit. Once that's done, it can go right to print. Okay. Because now, while I'm in the process of doing that, I went back into, because there's 12 in the series, and I went back to book number 6, which is halfway through the series, to tie it together with book 7. So I'm right now working at the beginning of book 7. Well, I've got parts written in all 12 books. Okay, but while doing that, as I'm doing that, I am actively writing in book 7 right now. Book 11 we're doing the final editing on. Book 10, we're actually, the one that's already in print, we're actually going back through it, okay, to put the compendium together. Now, the compendium will not come out until all 12 are out. But because we're working on all of them at the same time, when I take a look at the entire writing process, I've managed to get just over a quarter of the writing done, roughly. Okay, I think it's just over a quarter. Let us just take a quick peek at that. Nice thing about having multiple screens. With multiple screens, I can take a look at various different things. And yeah, we are in the way of writing, we're at just about a quarter in the way of words and what have you. Okay. Now, while I'm doing that, I've also got the second volume of Races of the Worlds that I'm working on. Plus, of course, I gotta get to that. What I'm referring to is this little thing. I've shown it to you 2 days in a row, and I'll tell you, I definitely have to get it dealt with. So, we will do that today. As a matter of fact, I may just dig that out. I may take a half moment out. Not likely. But this is a question of taking a look at what's going on in your life. What are you personally content with? Okay, or more to the point, what are you personally not happy with? It's those things that you're not personally happy with that when you make the adjustments to them and get them and correct them so that you're now content, once you alter everything you're not content with, all you're left with in your own world is a world you're content with. One that you can wake up in the morning and go, yay, I got something, I'm waking up, I've got something to look forward to, I've got something to do with my life. Okay, now this idea you have to have your life in order by the time you're 20, it's a cute thought, I like it. Would that it would happen once in a while. But what does have to happen is you've got to find a way to motivate yourself. Yes, now if you're my age, well, frankly, you're probably already somewhat motivated, but certainly stuck in paths. In your own way in a lot of ways. Okay, but if you need a push, if you've got any questions, absolutely look at the list of contact numbers below, the contact points below me, below this video. There's all kinds of ways of getting a hold of me. Skype, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Take a look. And of course, if you've got questions, especially where it comes to if you're looking for immediate answers, okay, on UFOs, on potential alien abductions, on alien technologies, drop me a line or drop into onto the internet at spacedoutradio.com. You can find that on Facebook and in Spreaker. Okay, I'm on the first Friday of every month. Okay, from 9 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just looking to see what that is, because that can't be very long and very far away. Yeah, in 2 weeks I'll be back on there. Okay. These are just little projects that I'm on, because what I did find is no matter who you are, no matter what you're following in life, no matter what path you're on, every single living entity in existence is at the exact same point right now. You're all sitting exactly where you are. Okay. Doesn't matter how you got to where you are, doesn't matter what your pocketbook looks like. The reality is where you're sitting is where you're starting from. How you got there is not the real relevant concern. Aside from if you've made what you consider mistakes in the past, as in they didn't work out, it may be an idea to take a look at them and not do that again. I know when I was a kid, I made a mistake. Real bad one in my eyes in one sense. Okay, I was told that ketchup and ice cream is a real good mix. I'll tell you from practical experience, that was a mistake. That is not a good mix. Okay, needless to say, I've never done that again. On the other hand, there are certain things that I have done that have worked out really well. If you've got, like, for instance, and I've mentioned before that I had a stroke a couple of years ago, but the best thing I could have done was move my coffee cup over to the left side where I have to pick it up. Okay, because yes, I can pick it up with my right hand, but putting it over there and taking the time to get my left arm to actually pick the coffee cup up has immensely increased the mobility of this shoulder, of the shoulder and the coordination. So I can now reach out and almost without looking at it, I can actually get a hold of it. If you've got a limb that is not working quite right, okay. Now, I will tell you, therapists are fabulous people. They've got knowledge you don't have. You may not like their methods, but the fact of the matter is, if your limb isn't working, it might be an idea to talk to them. One thing to keep in mind, regardless of what the doctors tell you, and I do mean this quite literally, regardless of if the doctors tell you it is not healable, okay, work with them as best you can, but do not buy into the concept that it cannot heal. Okay, I was told that eyesight as you get older is going to collapse. Mine's getting stronger because I didn't believe the doctors. Don't get me wrong, I wear glasses, which means I obviously went to the doctors to get the assistance. But medication, glasses, I use a cane on a regular basis. These are all what I consider crutches. Now, I personally consider them crutches, as in they're a way to help until you heal. Okay, do not stop using the stuff you're on already. If you're under the care of a doctor, for heaven's sake, absolutely stay working with them. If you're on medication and you start modifying your life, keep the medication where it is. It will show up as an overdose, as in too much medication in your system, and the doctors will cut it back. That part you've got to trust the doctors with. Okay, there are all kinds, and I have my own problems with doctors. There is a reason I don't go see them very much. Okay, there is also a reason I don't go to a church or a temple. Okay, because I have my own outlook on life. Okay, and my personal outlook is real simple where it comes to the church, where it comes to a temple. Absolutely, they are a fantastic place to go. I encourage you to go to one. Find one that fits your liking. Okay, because the brotherhood, the support that you can get from a group of people of like mind is invaluable, especially when you have troubled times. When you're having struggles. If there is one thing that COVID has done for people, it has made them really look at the world and go, this is no fun. And then people turn around and go, I want the world to go back to normal. Well, I'll tell you, normal was full of greed, debauchery, abuse, violence, deception. I mean, you name it. It was full. It was chock full of garbage. Now, politely put, and any of you that have a Christian background will recognize this term. Okay. But I have personally not seen this much greed and debauchery since Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, now, yes, I have an advantage in some ways. I remember a lot of my past lives. Okay, you don't have to believe in them. That's the nice part about this. I'm not here to convince you that what I'm telling you is absolutely on the money. I'm just telling you what my experience has been, and maybe, just maybe, you've had an experience similar, and this will help you get a handle on it. Okay, so when we talk about the world after COVID, okay, take a look at the reality of it. Are you treating, people will certainly be a little more edgy. They'll certainly be a little bit more leery about getting close to people. Absolutely. But remember, all things pass. The Black Plague, now, the Black Death, that was a horrendous time. And a lot of people died in it. But it eventually went away. Okay. Hopefully it won't take as long as it did to do that one. And in all reality, when you look at the Black Death, half the reason it took so long to clear up was because nobody was living long enough to put the information together. The people that got the ideas ended up dying for the most part. Now, I would love to say I was partially responsible for straightening it out, but the reality was, in all fairness, I had no idea what to do with it. I remember that lifetime very well. Okay, I happened to be a coroner at the time. Okay, I had a wife and a couple of kids. All of them died. Okay, I ended up being immune to it. But being a coroner, that worked out kind of well. So I'll tell you, when everybody else was dying, I was making money like there was no tomorrow. But eventually, that passed. Okay, and this too will pass. And it will not matter how much money you've got. It won't make any difference at all. If you're going to get the illness, you're going to get the illness. It's kind of like people that have a lot of money are not immune to cancer. Money just won't do it. And the more pious the person does not necessarily mean they are immune to illness either. Okay. But I will tell you, working together, working with the people around you, treating people in a decent fashion, in the way you desire to be treated. Okay, when we all work together, we can make this world a whole lot better for everybody. And apparently I punched a hole in my hand. That's always fun, not? Okay, yeah, I know, that had nothing to do with anything. But like I said, this is a live video. Meaning when I get done, I do not go back and edit anything. So you get the ins and outs, you get the hiccups, you get the odd moves, all of it. The only thing I end up doing, as soon as I'm done this video, I will double check to make sure that I got the date right. And if I didn't, I don't edit it. I literally redo. Thus far, I've been lucky. Okay. I've been fortunate enough to get things working properly where I can actually do it in the right order. For the most part, since March 6th, I think I've missed 3 days. I might be off on that, but that's okay. But I do my best to get out at least once a day to do a video, and again, this is literally in great part thanks to the encouragement I had from some of the other people that I know. From a lot of the listeners that I have on YouTube, and much more importantly, from the ones I had on Spaced Out Radio, I had a lot of encouragement to start putting the information out on video. Now, with that in mind, there is a subset of videos that I've done. There's actually 2 subsets that are of equal importance in some ways. One is called Races of the Worlds, and that is based on this little book here. Okay, and that book that I just showed you, and the sequel that I'm working on right now, Volume 2. That'd be one. Okay, it covers a lot of the different races and what have you. The other one that is the other series that's of real serious import is a sub-series called Languages. On let's try English. In that series, I cover a number of words that I have found in the spoken language, including, by the way, American Sign Language, that are very self-deprecating, self-limiting. I don't know what the actual term is, but that's okay. Okay, words like can't, try, impossible. Now, I do not recall right off the top of my head which ones are out there, but take a look at the series. I know there are 12 in existence, 9 of which I've identified. Okay, take a look at the series, find out why those words are a problem. Okay, and when you find out when you take a look at them, you'll find why I turn around when I'm talking about things and I'll say, you can't do that. Well, the reality is most things you can do. There's a staggering number that it's very unwise to do. One extreme case, I know of an individual that went skydiving and accidentally found that he can actually do so without a parachute. Now, this is for all intents and purposes, it's one of those things that it was pure accident that he found it out, and it took him years to double check it using appropriate methods and getting the appropriate stuff in place. This is one of those things. Do not try this at home or anywhere else for that matter. Okay, but what it does mean is it is possible. There is nothing on the planet that I'm aware of that is impossible to do. Okay, there's a lot I would not recommend. There's a staggering amount I wouldn't recommend. Of course, I personally wouldn't recommend skydiving. Now, there's a lot of fun in it. But, my biggest problem with skydiving is simple. I can't find a rational reason to get out of a perfectly good aircraft. I'm patient. I'll wait until the plane gets to the ground. And as I've told people, if it gets really bad and if it gets really dicey, strap a parachute on my back, shove me out the door, and please pull the ripcord at the time that you push me out the door, and I'll take my chances. Otherwise, I will wait for the plane to get to the ground. Okay, it's kind of like I'm quite willing to take an elevator from the top floor of an apartment building to the bottom floor instead of jumping off the balcony. Technically, it's doable. I'm just not that interested in it. Okay, there's a lot of things that are extremely exciting, extremely fun to do. When I was 50 years old, I decided it was a cute thought, so I taught myself how to skateboard. Now, understand, I'm on a cane. This was not a bright move, but I did it for me to prove I could. Okay, but I found that the strain on the knee was way too much, so I gave it up. I'm 58 now, and at 50 years old, this is not necessarily your brightest move, but I never claimed I was bright. But I will tell you, if you desire to try to do something, if you desire to experience something, talk to somebody that has done it successfully. Okay. For instance, if you're looking at writing in a multi-volume book, multi-volume series, absolutely, talk to me. That one I've done. Okay. If you're asking me how to be a millionaire, I'll tell you right now, I'm not a millionaire, so I'm not the best person to talk to. Okay, I will tell you, if you talk to millionaires, though, you may find the information you're seeking. And by the way, much as I agree that it's very important to talk to your parents and what have you, and to talk to your kids, it does not work well if you're talking to your parents about becoming a millionaire. If they are not millionaires, they're not going to know how to do it. Okay. Now, don't let that stop you from aiming at that goal. As it was put to me, Shoot for the stars. You may only hit the moon, but you're still off the planet. Okay. Now, I do encourage people to pass this message along. It is time for people to look at each other and go, we're all part of the same first planet. Never mind now, whether you were born here, whether you were born somewhere else, whether you think you were born somewhere else. I'm not the one to tell you which way that fits. But I can tell you, if you're here right now, this is the planet that you got to worry about. This is the one that's keeping you alive. Okay. And if when we all start working together, we can actually bring back the vitality of the planet. There are ways of replenishing, for instance, the nutrients in your soil. Something that I found, and I am by no means a functional farmer. I mean, let's face it, I can bring a plant home. I can kill the thing inside 3 days. Not something I'm really happy with, but it works. This said, if you are a farmer and you feel that your yield is not quite as high as it should be, okay, there's a reason that the successful farmers rotate their crops. Okay, and it's because by leaving, if you've got four sections, for instance, or even if you've got a little garden and you divide it into 4, you take 1/4 of your garden, you leave it empty. Okay, you don't do a thing with it. Then you plant your different plants in the other 4. Okay, in the other 3. And then the following year, rotate it. Take the whole set and rotate it 1 click. Okay, so let's see if we can do this a little easier. So, yes, I've got a sheet of paper right here. Don't know if this is going to work, but... So, yeah, that ain't going to show up very well. That's the wrong pen to use because you can't see that. So, I'm not going to do that right now. But, if you take your garden and you separate it into 4, you go up to the top. Let's leave the top left corner alone. Leave it empty. Occupy the other 3/4. Grow your garden. The following year, take this one, you take the whole 3, you move the blank one over to the right, so it's at the top right corner now. Tilt everything else around. Okay? So what happens is you end up taking that garden and spinning it basically this way. Okay? Using a 1/4 on each, leaving 1/4 empty all the time. That way, the nutrients can come back together. Okay, the ground will replenish itself. When we are talking about, when you're talking about exercise, okay, exercise, you don't work all the major muscle groups every day. Okay, and again, I am not a professional in these fields. Talk to the people that are. But what I have found is that if you work different muscle groups on different days, you'll find you're healthier. Now, I've managed to get my health back with the guidance of the doctors, with the guidance of people, of just laymen that know more about food than I do. Like, I know how to eat, and that's pretty much where my knowledge ends. But by doing that, I've managed to get my health back onto a reasonable track. The same can be done for every person on the planet. Now, for those of you looking at, but what about all the starvation around the world? How do we deal with that? That is relatively simple, but you got to realize you cannot protect people from themselves. If you're sitting in an area that the ground will only support, 10,000 people, if you've got 100,000 people in there, you're going to have to move 90,000 of them, or they're going to continue to starve. Okay, now how they go about being moved, most people will go, but I don't want to leave my home. Well, when I was a kid, I liked where I was living. Okay, and my dad made a simple decision. He went, we're moving. And of course we went, but we don't want to move. And my dad goes, okay, I understand that, but we're moving because where we are, we're going to starve. So we're moving. Now that move meant that we got to carry on living. I don't know about you, but I think it was a good trade-off. I was not happy about moving. Don't get me wrong. It's never fun taking the things in your life that you like and having to get rid of them because of necessity. Now, with that in mind, we've got a lot of people having financial struggles. Okay, and the most common thing I hear people say is if you're having financial struggles, cut back. Deprive yourself from whatever you enjoy and cut back. I'll tell you, I'm a firm believer that that's looking at it backwards. When I run into financial troubles right now, much as I probably should cut back, what I do is I go, how can I make a little bit better money than what I'm making? How does that work? Right? How am I going to increase my cash flow so that I can maintain the lifestyle that I desire? Now, in my case, that's not really that big of a jump. Okay, my lifestyle is pretty mild. Okay, that does not mean it's perfect, but I am content with most of it. And the parts I'm not content with, I am working to change. Okay, and we know that I'm working to change because, well, we got the headset now. We've got the window blocked out so that we can actually see what we're looking at. Yeah, I do pity you. You actually get to see me now instead of watching me get completely wiped out. You know, washed out with the light. I don't know how this headset's going to work. When I get done this, I'm going to listen to the video for a bit and see if it worked out better as far as the volume goes. Okay. That being said, okay, do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel so you can get the rest of the videos as they come out. I'm doing my best to do at least one video a day. You know, to take us on this journey from a past that I was not content with, and that was where this whole thing started. Was I'm not happy with the way my life is. But the encouragement I got from other people to start doing a daily broadcast, okay, a daily video, has helped immensely in keeping me organized. And now, thankfully, most of the things I'm not content with, I'm actually correcting. Okay, I'm making the alterations to them that I feel are necessary. Okay, and there's a lot of them. But I didn't get into this mess, much like you did not get into the situation you're in without a lot of work. Okay, it probably took you your entire life to get to the state you're in right now, in all likelihood. Some of you have been unfortunate enough to have your life completely turned upside down with no warning. And I do feel for you there. But since you're in the state you're in right now, this is where we start working on putting your life back together. To that end, 4 words to put on your fridge, or someplace, preferably on your fridge, but put it in other places as well. I am worth it. You are the only person out there that is going to be able to be successful for you. And tomorrow when we come back, when we talk to you tomorrow, where did my pen go? Oh, up there. Tomorrow, we are going to go into discussing that exactly. That being, we're going to go back and go over success, how to figure out what you feel is success, and how to get on track. Okay, that would be the thing that we're going to look at tomorrow. What I'm trying to do, and that's why I wrote it down, what I am doing my best to do is get a little more organized so that I can give you the heads up so that you can get on track yourself. But remember, you're the only person on the planet that can be successful for you. Everybody can give you their 2 cents worth, myself included. But unless you get up and actually make the adjustments, it isn't going to matter. So with that in mind, I'm going to leave you until tomorrow. Okay, don't know when tomorrow yet, but I'm hoping to do it first thing in the morning. That will depend on how things go. But until then, Take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.